Appreciate everybody joining. My name is Amy Stock. I work here at Hendrick Motorsports. Today we have 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Chad Knaus and crew chief of the number 24 Chevrolet, driven by William Byron, to field questions regarding the recent announcement elevating Chad into a leadership role of Vice President of Competition here at Hendrick Motorsports. Chad, you really don't need any introduction, but thank you for being here today. And before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. If you have a question for Chad, obviously raise your hand or put your name in the chat function. Ashley, Ennis, and I are on the call, and we will get as many people as we can in the time frame we have with Chad, which is approximately 30 minutes. Again, if you need permission to record, please let us know. The recording will also be shared with NASCAR media afterwards. And if you have any questions, please direct them to Ashley afterwards as well. So with that said, we are going to get started. And we will take our first question from Bob Pockross.
Morning, Chad. Thanks for taking the time. I'm curious, how emotional is this type of decision? And do you think it'll be emotional at all at Phoenix?
Well, there's a ton of emotions, obviously, Bob. You know, I've been doing this a long time. It was a tough decision to try to figure out what I wanted to do, but it's the right decision for everybody and all parties involved. I feel like that at HMS, we need to continue to grow the leadership, which Jeff Andrews has done a great job. He's got a lot on his plate. He needs to be elevated, and that opens up a void. Myself, my family, it's time for me to try to make a change to where I can spend more time with them and try to help impact the company as a whole. So, sitting on top of the pit box as long as I have, I've been traveling full time since I was about 16 years old, right? So it's time to kind of pull back just a little bit and not be on the road every single week and spend some time with my family. So emotionally in Phoenix, I'm sure it's going to sink in. I've been taking it in race by race. Obviously, I've known about this for a while, and we've been talking about it for a while. So as I go to the racetracks, I've been kind of, just soaking in the atmosphere, dropping the green flag, looking up in the stands, seeing the fans when they're there. All of that has been pretty high priority, just to kind of absorb as much as I possibly can these last few weeks.
And I'm also curious, you're known for your intensity, and do you have any sense of what it'll be like where you're not necessarily, I'm going to say in control of one car, but knowing that that kind of the prongs of what you're over, you're going to need to rely on so many people for the job to get done?
Well, Bob, honestly, I really give, you can talk to the folks that have worked with me and work with me currently. I give them a lot of freedom. I try to give them direction, advice, get conclusions to answers, and then I give them the freedom to carry out what it is they need to do. And I think it's going to be a very similar format. Obviously, we've got so many strong folks here at Hendrick Motorsports. I don't think I need to have an overarching grasp on every single detail. My position is to try to come in and enhance the environment as a whole. If we can make a small incremental gain of, let's just say 8%, that's going to be a huge impact on the performance of Hendrick Motorsports. And that's kind of the goal at this point, is just try to make a small incremental improvement for the 2021 season, and then get prepared for 2022 and beyond, which is going to be a completely different task for everybody involved, everybody on this call, everybody at the racetrack. So that's kind of my goal at this point.
Thank you.
Okay, next we will go to Woody Kane.
Hey, Chad, appreciate your time. I'm just curious, the release talked about you working to help obviously develop the 2022 or next-gen car. Can you describe for someone like me who doesn't have an engineering background how much of a difference, how much of a game changer this car might be? And not just from an engineering standpoint even, but from an economic standpoint, because we've seen some reporting that it might be helping to attract some new ownership to the sport.
That's a great question. In a very lengthy one, and I don't know if I can get through it all in 30 minutes, but honestly, the car is fundamentally different. It's from a mechanical standpoint, the uprights, which we would call spindles, the independent rear suspension, the transaxle is a sequential shift. The engine package is going to be different with opportunity to evolve in the future. Aerodynamically, the car is just fundamentally different. It's got, complete full under tray. So the ride proximity to the ground creates a lot of downforce or loses a lot of downforce depending upon the pitch and yaw of the car, pitch and heave, excuse me. So there's a lot to learn about this car. So it's a fundamental change. Wheels and tires are larger. Sidewall stiffnesses are significantly different. It's got a rack and pinion steering as opposed to the Saginaw style box that we currently use. Man, I could go on and on and on and on and on. There's just, it's a completely different race car. Now fast forward from a financial standpoint, there's a couple ways to look at it. One, I think that you can probably run fewer cars or have fewer cars in your inventory, which may help you from a financial standpoint. But ultimately, you're going to reinvest the monies in development, other ways to try to find improvements. So racing, unfortunately, is really about the same. How fast you want to go, right? And it's going to cost money. That's just the crux of the whole thing. But the big difference is right now, if you have somebody that wants to come into our sport, they have to go and try to research what it's going to cost for them to do business. Somebody's got to build them a chassis, or they have to build their own chassis. Somebody's got to, provide them an engine, or they have to build their own engines. Somebody's got to, get a manufacturer for body components and figure out how to take it to the wind tunnel and do it. The one thing that this new package is going to have is a lot of the components are quote unquote store bought. So you can go through a menu and you can say, okay, just to go to X number of races, I need to have X number of components, and it's going to cost Y. And it's very definitive from that standpoint. So if you're a business and you want to come in here and start racing, you can have a bottom line that you can kind of circle to understand exactly what your investment is going to be. And that's not really possible right now. It's very, very difficult for an independent to come into our sport and start a new team. So there is some avenues there that I think are going to be very appealing to folks, and hopefully more manufacturers coming in the future.
Very interesting. Thank you. Appreciate your time, Chad.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, next we will go to Jenna Fryer.
Sorry. Hi, Chad.
Hi.
I'm wondering, this is two elements of one question. What would you say what has changed most about you since you took over the 48, started building the 48 in 2001? In this 18, 19, 20 years, what's most changed about you? And also, what do you think that you taught Jimmie and what Jimmie taught you?
Gosh, let's see. What's most changed about me? I've probably been tempered quite a lot, obviously. I think any of you that have been around the sport for a long time have seen my change from maybe an outward and a management style. When I started Jenna, and you know this, I was completely ingrained in every facet of everything that we absolutely did, took control of all of that, and took responsibility for everything. It didn't really relinquish a whole lot of that until I was extremely comfortable with folks, and that took quite a while. Now I say I'd like to do things a little bit differently, like I mentioned prior. Get with the folks I feel like are capable of making the right decisions, making the right choices, and giving them the freedom to make those and come back to me with solutions. So I think that's definitely something I learned from Mr. Hendrick over the years. He does a remarkable job of doing that. He lives and breathes by getting the right people together, putting them in a room, letting them hash it out, and let them come up with a solution. That gives them the opportunity to have skin in the game, have some ownership of the solution. And typically when that happens, they carry out a better product than I ever could. There's so many folks here that are so significantly smarter than I am. It's foolish for me to think that I can help do a lot of the things that need to be done. So I hope that answers that question. But that's probably the biggest change. The biggest thing Jimmie ever taught me. Oh man. He definitely taught me to enjoy life a little bit. Which is why we are where we are right now. I think it's getting to the point where I need to do that. He taught me what it means to feel, friendship and love and care for somebody, which is something that I needed for sure. And he definitely does that. Jimmie loves with his whole body, right? I think we all understand that out of him, or at least I do. So he taught me that. He taught me what it's like to want to have a family and to build a good family and how to be a good father. So I'm trying to follow in some of those footsteps from him. What I taught Jimmie was probably you know, we all know Jimmie, right? And he's one of the most tenacious people out there. You know, he creates a goal and he attacks it, and he eclipses so many milestones. You know, I mean, just go back and look at the stuff that he's done, you know, from championships, races, to the Boston Marathon, to, you know, who knows where, you know, it's his triathlons and all of those things. But I think if there's one thing I probably taught him is that, you know, you need leadership, you need structure, you need guidance, and you need somebody to keep the heat on you. As much as we complained and fought and all of that, I think, and it really boils down, even Jimmie, as great as he is, he needed to have some of that, and he knew that. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that, I guess.
You still going to have a big binder full of notes in your new job?
I will, but all those binders are all electronic now. So, but yeah, definitely keep a lot of notes. Honestly, Jen, I'm super excited about this. There's so many amazing folks at HMS, as we all know, and I just want to get ingrained and see what everybody does and try to help. And you know, this company has changed a lot over the years. From when I started here, we were a much smaller entity than where we are right now. We've got our fingers in a lot of places, and I just want to get in there and see what everybody's got going on. Try to help Jeff Andrews as much as I possibly can. He's a huge mentor of mine. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's an amazing leader, and he's got some qualities that I need to kind of contribute to evolve into my system. And I think he and I are going to be a great match, and I'm looking forward to working with the crew chiefs and Alan and all the guys. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Great. Thanks, Chad. Congratulations on your career.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna. Now we'll go to Ben Johnston.
Thanks, man. Excuse me. Hiya, Chad. Congratulations on the new job. Going back to the excitement level of taking up the new position, what are you kind of most looking forward to in the new role that you kind of haven't experienced as a crew chief? But then also, in terms of, obviously the new schedule was announced yesterday, what race are you most looking forward to, kind of looking from like an outsider if you're not going to be traveling?
Well, there's a couple good questions. Obviously, the new role is going to be interesting. You know, we've had a lot of folks in this role at different times throughout my career, and honestly, I probably bitched about all of them. So
right.
My goal would be to not be the guy that's getting complained about as much, right? So hopefully we can avoid that. That'll be the first step. I want to make sure that I'm helping the teams and helping the folks and getting them what they need and getting them all the resources they want, and you know, creating an environment of not creating, but, you know, continue to establish the environment of passion for racing and passion for sport and performance. And that's what I really want to do. It's what we've done with our race teams, and I want to continue to carry that race team mentality into all facets of Hendrick Motorsports. And if we can do that, we'll get that small 3 to 5 to 8% gain that we're looking for from an improvement standpoint.
Right.
As far as the racetracks, gee whiz, man. I mean, I think we all saw a lot of these coming, right?
Right.
But I'm super excited to get to COTA. I think that's going to be awesome. Indy is going to be a lot of fun. You know, Bristol, not I don't know, man, I'm not a dirt racer, so we'll leave that to the dirt guys. You know, I don't know if I'll make that race or not. We'll have to see, man. It's we'll see. No, I'm just kidding. I'll probably be there, but it's I think the whole schedule and the evolution of what it is that we're doing is really exciting.
Yeah.
And the new race car that's coming, the Nextgen car, is going to provide an even more realistic advancement into the road course racing and street racing and all of that, which, as we know, it's really funny. When I started in the Cup Series, road racing really was, you know, kind of an afterthought. Nobody really liked it. The legacy and the purists were against road racing. They wanted the ovals, and, you know, those were the cornerstone of the sport. And honestly, the road races have been some of our most exciting races over the last 5 years, probably, maybe 6, I'd say. And I think the more we get that, the cooler it's going to be. So, you know, the new car is going to provide a new and unique element of us being able to tune a little bit better for some of the road courses. Is that good? Cool. Is that bad? We'll just have to see.
Excellent. Well, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. We will go to Jeff Gluck now.
Chad, you're great on TV. I'm sure at least you had to consider the TV route at some point. What was the decision like? I always figured you're going to end up on TV after you're done crew chiefing. Was that a consideration?
I didn't really dig into it super duper deep. I've got a love for Hendrick Motorsports. I do really enjoy doing television, and actually was in conversation, via text and email just a couple days ago about, continuing to do some stuff offline. I shouldn't say offline, but, as well with doing this. And I think that might still be an opportunity. Moving into full-time TV, man, it does have some appeal to it, but I think the way our sport is right now, quite honestly, I don't know that, I just know that there's a spot that I would be wanting to do from a full-time standpoint, right? I think that helping Hendrick Motorsports, being a part of Hendrick Motorsports for the foreseeable future is really what I want to do, and continue to play with the television stuff I think is fun. And I think it's another way for me to stay relevant with what's going on in our industry. I've been doing TV, since 2004, maybe 5. I started doing some TV shows with, back then was, Speed. And, I want to stay in it. It gives me vision as to what our broadcast partners want and need. And I like helping provide some of that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff. Let's go to Mike Solarte.
Thanks very much. Chad, first off, congratulations on just an amazing career in terms of being a crew chief. And I know that the next step's going to be cool for you as well. But can you walk us through the genesis of this decision? Was this an idea that you had? Was this Mr. H coming to you? I mean, obviously you say you've known about this for a while, but can you kind of walk us through the timeline as to what this, because this is big for the sport.
Oh boy. It is. I'm trying to think of the timeline. We started talking about this years ago. I'm going to go back to, 2 previous contracts with the 48 car, maybe, about not necessarily doing it at that point, but making sure we realized that, where I wanted to be in the future. So Mr. H and I have been talking about this for quite some time. I've talked about it with Jimmie for quite some time. Jeff Gordon and I have talked about it for probably 3 years, maybe 4, 3 in that area. So we've been talking about it for quite some time, and it's, everything has to be right in timing. And Mr. Hendrick is a master at putting things together at the right time. And we feel like that now is the time. We talked about doing it before I went over and did the 24 car. So, and, I really wanted to, quite honestly, Mike, I really, really wanted to get a victory in that 24 car. It was something that I've dreamt about since I was a very young man, right? And so to be able to get that this year definitely helped tremendously. So, it's all about timing. And right now is, just the right time. We're transitioning into a new vehicle with the Nextgen car. I really want to try to help get that car the best that we possibly can get it, so that Hendrick Motorsports and our teams and our drivers can hit the ground running. So yeah, that's kind of it, man. Everything's about timing, and it seemed like the right time.
Thanks, Chad. Best of luck, man.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Mike. We have about 7 more questions to get through, and we only have about 10 more minutes with Chad. So I just wanted to ask everyone to try to just keep it to 1 question each. We'll go to Jordan Bianchi.
Chad, do you ever see yourself maybe coming back into the crew chief role after getting some time away and kind of recharging the batteries?
Sorry, we were just chatting about maybe getting a little bit more time to you guys. Go ahead. What were you saying again?
No, we've seen other crew chiefs, want to step away because they have families and want to kind of recharge their batteries. Do you see yourself ever down the road maybe coming back to this, or is this you're done with this chapter?
I think that's a great question, Jordan. And I have a huge passion for competition. I really do. And my goal is that I'm filling that bucket with the 4 teams that we have at HMS, and I don't need to do that or don't want to do that. But you just never know. I'm not super old yet, right? I'm not quite 50. I'm getting there. I'm not quite 50 yet. And There are some crew chiefs out there that are older than that. You know, I think Jason Ratcliffe, he's, you know, early 50s, and a couple other guys in their early 50s. But man, I don't want to be that old wretched crew chief walking around the garage and his knees hurts and his back hurts, and, you know, and he's just kind of making it day by day. I mean, that's not my goal in life, right? I got a lot to do that I want to do with my family. I'm really excited about my new little girl. As you guys know and have seen, my son is, you know, just awesome. And I don't want to miss the opportunity to watch these two grow up and be a positive influence on their lives. So if there's a point in time that there's a need for me to do something like that, or a desire, or if I don't do a good job at this job and Mr. H says, well, you're a better crew chief than you are a vice president, you know, I don't know. You just never know what's going to happen, right? So never say never. But I would say if I do get back on the pit box again, there's been an unfortunate circumstance of either me getting canned or somebody suspended. How's that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. Kelly Crandall.
Thank you. Chad, going back to the topic of Nextgen, when you and I talked in January, you said this is going to be the largest fundamental shift the sport had. It's going to be a tall task for teams. How beneficial do you think it will be for Hendrick Motorsports to have someone like you, or just someone in general, dedicated to, as you said, just focusing on this car next year, to be able to really just get started with it and dig into that? And how excited are you for a challenge like that?
Oh, I'm super excited. And again, I'm not going to be completely overseeing it. You know, we're going to, my scope is much larger than that, but I'm going to be heavily involved with it. And I feel like that every major entity in NASCAR is probably doing something of the similar right now. They've got a lead that is doing that, and we'll appoint, you know, a lead or two to try to get going on all of that. So I hope that I have a positive impact on that and a positive influence, because it is a huge undertaking. There's, you know, we've seen, you know, through my career, I've seen big cars to smaller cars to the COT. And I over my years, I've seen every old crew chief has always said, oh, going to ruin the sport. Oh, we'll never make it. You know, the sport's doomed, you know, and things of that nature. But we continue to thrive and excel as an industry, and the race teams do as well. So I want to make sure that we're doing things in the right direction to try to improve our product and get it out there so that Hendrick Motorsports can continue to be strong.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly. Dustin Long.
Thank you. Hey, Chad, I'm curious, with the NASCAR's emphasis on road courses and short tracks, obviously for next year, and still talking about that for down the road. How will that impact teams in how they do things? I mean, I know cars still have to be prepared. You're still going to go through that process, but as the sport evolves in the different types of tracks, will that be a fundamental change, or does the change of the car make the track change not as big of a deal for teams?
That's a good question. It's I'm trying to think of the answer, honestly, Dustin. The road course racing is unique. The venues are unique, and that is a new element that is probably going to be a little bit more impactful than the short tracks. I'm just going to say that right now, you know, if you're going to go to, let's say COTA, for instance, right? That's a completely, you know, new animal, even compared to any other road courses that we go to. So I think we've all heard talks of, you know, potential street courses and, you know, all these things, right? Once you start to get into some venues like that, that's way out of the scope of what the majority of the folks in our industry are used to. The majority of the people in NASCAR right now have, you know, kind of gotten the roots from the short track racing and different kinds of late models and different kinds of modifieds and those natures, and kind of navigate that just kind of instinctively. But as you start to get into some of those other tracks, it's going to be uniquely different. The new car, we don't know what it's going to do. We don't know about the durability. We crash tested it one time, obviously. Didn't do great, right? You know, it crashed just like everything else, right? Stuff broke and fell apart and had to be replaced and all of that. But the durability standpoint on a short track, when they start rubbing wheels and, you know, bouncing off the walls and, you know, hitting it in Darlington, hitting at Bristol, we don't know what it's going to do just yet. So But again, I'm going to go back to the point. I think instinctively we as an entity are kind of familiar with that. Once we start to get to some of these other venues, it's going to be way different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to Luis Torres.
Good morning, Chad. It's very early out here in Washington, so I had to keep the voice down a little bit. But it's been it's been since 2015 that Chevy's won the manufacturer title. And with your new role, and obviously it's already announced that you guys at Hendrick and RCR are partnering up with the engineering department. How vital is it to get the entire Chevrolet brand back to a much competitive nature to get that manufacturer's title back in the foreseeable future?
Obviously, that's a big gain for us, is to try to get together and work with our key partners at GM. Obviously, putting Eric Warren in the position that he is a huge asset. He is a decorated member of the NASCAR community. He is a very strong individual. His scope is massive on how he can contribute. So putting him at GM, I think, is fantastic. Getting the teams to work closer together, I think, is just paramount. We need to do that, especially moving into the 2021 season as we get through and we're trying to develop this new car. We've been incrementally working this direction with, we've shared some resource on development in the past. We've worked together collectively with the Camaro that we're racing right now. We're working together closely with the Camaro that we're going to be racing in the Nextgen. So getting our resources spooled up, working together is just makes fundamental sense. And we're going to be able to work together with RCR, CGR, and GM and really get some nice stuff going in the right direction. And we're excited about that. The strength of our OEM is really critical to the performance of our teams from a lot of different ways. GM has a huge resource that, in the past, maybe we haven't tapped into as much as what we need to. And I think we're going to be able to get involved and get our fingers in up there and really pull out some good from those guys up there in Michigan.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it looks like Chad has been able to give us a little bit more time. I want to make sure that everybody is accounted for right now. So next we're going to go to Alex, but I also have Lee, Marty, Kelly, Tucker, and Jim. If I haven't called your name, please put your name in the chat and we will make sure we can get to you.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, Alex. Yep, we hear you.
Thanks, Chad. I really appreciate your time and for giving us a little more time this morning, and congratulations. My question is sort of about, I guess, the personnel at Hendrick. You're stepping off the pit box, Jimmie's leaving next year, and then you mentioned just having a bunch of young drivers in the organization. So I'm kind of wondering if you see this as a new era, I guess, for Hendrick?
Of course it is. It is. And you'd be foolish not to think that. I mean, look at the age of our drivers, look at the age of our crew chiefs, look at all of that. It's, Cliff and Greg and, Alan, he's a little bit older than those guys, but not a lot. He's got a lot of years ahead of him. You look at Chase Elliott now, I mean, he's still mid-20s, right? He's got a long ways to go in his career. William Byron, obviously we know how young he is, and he's still, I could not wait to see how good of a race car driver William is in 4 years. I really think he's going to be just fantastic. Alex is super young. So we've got a lot of youth here that we can build upon. And I think that's exciting. And I think it's a great opportunity for me to ride on the coattails of these guys as they're going out there winning races. And, hopefully I can look like I helped a little bit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alex. We'll go to Lee Spencer.
Congratulations, Chad, on adjusting your life-work balance, or continuing to.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that.
You mentioned Jeff Gordon earlier, and for the last couple of years, we've heard he's going to take a bigger role at Hendrick Motorsports. How much has your relationship with Jeff played into your decision to kind of help build the nucleus of the management team at Hendrick Motorsports?
Jeff's been impactful. He really has. He and I sat down, I guess the first time 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I think we sat down, and I think it was 3. But anyways, yeah, we sat down and we had a conversation. over a glass of wine and talked and spitballed a little bit. And, you know, he was curious where my head was in the future and what I wanted to do. And I have a ton of respect for Jeff. He brings a uniqueness to our company, obviously. You know, an extremely successful race car driver, very, very talented in the broadcast booth. So he understands that side of things. Very, very good with the sponsors. Has a good, unique vision on how things should go forward. So I think he was a big part of me understanding what the role is going to be moving forward. And I think, you know, he and Mr. H working together is great. We've got a couple of unique perspectives up there. So he's a big player on what's going on here, and it's a lot of fun working with Jeff. He's been here late at night with Jeff Andrews and I, you know, 7, 8 o'clock at night, talking and hashing things out and discussing how we're going to move forward. So he's ingrained.
Appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. We will go to Marty.
Thank you very much. Chad, congratulations on the new promotion, man.
Thank you, Marty.
I'll start. I want to ask. We had some news that came out earlier today, where Hendrick Motorsports is going to be teaming up with Richard Childress Racing next year for the Chevrolet engine program. What's your take on that? And were you a part of any discussions that led to that news coming out?
Well, I knew before you. How's that?
Yeah, that works.
It's something that we've talked about for a while. And, you know, we discussed it. I wouldn't say that fell on my plate a whole lot. Jeff Andrews is really the guy that handles a lot of the engine side of things. So he and the folks up there at RCR have had a lot of communication over the years. I think we've slowly begun to kind of migrate and merge closer together over the years. Obviously, CGR is a customer of ours from an engine standpoint. So getting those ties closer together as an entity, like I had mentioned prior with the key partners for General Motors, is really important. And honestly, it makes more sense from GM's standpoint to have a collective group doing research and development to get the car performance higher. And obviously, a good engine, you know, that definitely helps. So those guys up there at RCR do a really good job. I've spent some time up there. I've been up there 2 or 3 times, I guess, in the last 6 months or so. And I've been very impressed with what they've got up there at RCR. Those guys do a really good job. They've got a lot of resource, and they're definitely going to have a positive impact on this engine program for sure.
Thank you very much, Chad. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we will go to Kelly Bardick, Jim Utter, and then Deb Williams.
Hey, Chad. Congratulations on the new promotion, and to you and Brooke on your baby girl. She's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I just want to know, what do you think you're going to miss the most, not being with just one team?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to miss. I was actually talking to my team just a little while ago. You have to realize I've been a part of a race team since I was very, very young, and race teams are you know, a pretty tight nucleus of folks. You know, you got 20, 25 guys and gals that you work really, really closely with. You're intimate with their families, you know their emotions, you know their needs, their desires, how they impact the performance of the car. You can tell when somebody's off just by looking at them. And that's definitely what I'm going to miss the most, is just that intimacy with the team, the intimacy with a specific car number. And I know that I'm still a part of a huge team here at Hendrick Motorsports, but man, that ingrainedness, that quickness, the nimbleness of a team to move, react, pivot, that's going to be something I'm really going to miss. You know, but that's okay. You know, I'll focus that and develop a team that we want to try to grow here to where HMS is operating as one big team, right? So that's going to be a big thing, Kelly. And quite honestly, the competition side of things, like when you're up on top of the pit box and you're trying to make a decision if you're going to do a green flag pit stop and you're going to pit early, or if you're going to run long, if you take 2 tires or 4 tires, and that's something that I'm definitely going to miss. That gut decision making in the heat of the battle, you know, that's a tough one to give up for sure.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Chad, congratulations on your promotion. You and Jimmie are both sort of stepping away from your longtime roles at Hendrick this season. And you're obviously moving up, but still staying within the organizations. He's stepping away, won't be disappearing completely. But I just wondered, from your perspective, what do you think Hendrick Motorsports going forward will miss most about Jimmie Johnson not being around?
Well, gosh, I mean, Jim, I think obviously we're going to miss his talent. He's, a heck of a race car driver. That's an easy one. We're going to miss his presence just from a personality standpoint. Everybody loves Jimmie, and he's a great guy, and he's a fierce competitor. We'll definitely miss that. And we're going to miss, his accomplishments because, inevitably, you guys know this, inevitably as he walks away, a part of that goes away with him, right? That's going to be a void. But, from a company standpoint, we're trying to fill that void with talented young drivers that we feel will be able to carry the torch, much like Jeff Gordon, much like Jimmie Johnson did in the past, right? So we're going to have that void for a little bit, but, I think Chase is doing a fantastic job. You look at the performance of that 88 car and Alex Bowman, those guys are doing a really good job. Williams coming along super strong. He's got a victory now. If we're not crashing, we're running pretty well, so I think that we'll fill that cavity pretty quickly, I hope. But, just his presence, when Jimmie walks in, you just, people take notice. It's Jimmie, Jimmie's here, and everybody wants to talk to him. They want to, high five him, give him some love, and he wants to give that. So we're going to miss that a little bit, but hopefully he's gone, but he's not gone for good. He's still coming around and checking us out a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, Jim. Go ahead, Deb.
And Jimmie honestly said that I could go to an Indy race with him next year. So I'm going to try to do that.
Okay. Congratulations, Chad, and thank you for the extra time. You basically have grown up, so to speak, at Hendrick Motorsports. You came in there early on in your career as a crewman, and then you've become a crew chief. Now you're to the executive level. How will your extensive knowledge of Hendrick Motorsports benefit you in this new position?
That's I appreciate it, Deb. That's the thing I'm probably, if I put on my scout sash, and I've got all my badges that I've been able to put on there. That's probably the thing that I'm most proud of, that I've done all of those jobs. When I showed up here, I was, literally sweeping the floor in the body shop, and to be able to know that I've done so many things here at Hendrick Motorsports, from, putting the bodies on the cars, to being a mechanic, to setting the cars up, to building shocks, to being a tire changer, a part of the pit crew, driving from Charlotte to Michigan to pick the guys up at the airport because our plane wasn't big enough to take all of us, in a plane back then. That somebody had to drive, and we couldn't afford rental cars, right? So all of those things, I think it's funny. The majority of the folks that work here now, they only know me as a crew chief because I've been a crew chief for so long. They don't even identify with the fact that I was this fellow that, I washed Ray Everham's car in the driveway every week, so he had a clean car, right? So I really like that. I like that I've been able to earn my stripes and my scout badges the way you're supposed to do it. And I hope that people respect that and realize, quite honestly, that they can do the exact same thing. The most senior people in our company right now have been here for a very long time and have grown up in this environment of what is Hendrick Motorsports, which has started as a very, very small entity to a huge campus that we're all super proud of, right? So if you talk about Greg Ives, who came down from Michigan, he drove down here drove down to Daytona to have an interview with Brian Weitzel from, the UP. And then he came in and we put him in our teardown department. This guy's a mechanical engineer with a degree, and he's out there washing cars and working his way up through the system. Cliff Daniels came in early. Alan Gustafson was worked for Gary Dehart in his fab shop before he came over here. Just like, if you think of the way that we've structured our company to grow folks into senior positions, it's something I'm super proud of.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay, and we will finish with Jenna.
Hey, Chad, I've got one more that I'm not sure that I can get you to answer. I know you learned from Ray. You know, your record is very, very impressive. Where do you think you stack up among the greatest crew chiefs in the sport?
I don't know.
I knew you wouldn't answer.
That's for you folks to decide. I don't know. I've been very fortunate, Jenna, to work with amazing race car drivers, winning a ton of races with Jeff Gordon, winning a bunch of races with Jimmie Johnson, having a lot of success with William Byron. You know, being on the the outskirts of working with Dale Jr., being on the outskirts of working with Casey Kane and all these other drivers that have been through here. I don't know where I stack up, man. I know that I've been traveling a long time. I know that I've done this for a long time. Dale Emmons still, the guy. Leonard Wood is still the guy. Ray Evernham is still the guy. Like, I called Ray, which he didn't pick up, which really upset me. The other day just to talk to him about this, and he screened me out. But I have a lot of respect for the senior guys in this industry, because they definitely carry the torch and set the stage for guys like myself to come in and have a successful career. Because there was a time that crew chiefs didn't have that good of a lifestyle. We were constantly filthy, and I was that guy, right? We were constantly filthy and never slept, and slept at the shop. I can remember working in Alabama with Felipe Lopez and Stanley Smith's team, and I was literally sleeping on a steel table in the middle of a garage because I was too tired to drive home to get up to come to work the next day, because we were there so late. So the sport has changed significantly. I'm just proud of being a part of it. I'm very, very blessed to be where I'm at and to have this opportunity to come here and help at Hendrick Motorsports at the level my predecessors did.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Chad, for your time and extending your time. Again, we will provide the recording if you guys want it. Just reach out to Ashley with any other follow-up questions. And again, thank you all for your time, and we miss seeing you in person.
Hey guys, thanks for everything. I really appreciate all of your involvement. And you guys are the reason why the sport is continuing to grow and people are continuing to watch. So don't forget that. The positive influence you guys put on this sport is what's carrying us all through this tough time. And I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great morning.
Thank you too.
Bye.